Hello everybody and welcome back to the Prince of Persia 2008 walkthrough. It's time for us to head to the last area of the royal palaces, and then after that we can remove the concubine from this area once and for all. And unfortunately we have to go through the corrupted air area. It's weird. The corrupted air kind of doesn't really do a whole lot other than be a pain. But there is the Black Gate, and there is the plate that we need to get onto to get to the next fertile ground.
Hey, are you alright?
Yes. If we can make the jump to that plate, that will lead us over.
That's good. Unfortunately, things really aren't going to be as simple as you would hope. I mean, like, my word, we're just going to do this bit and we're going to be at the fertile ground. If that was all of this would be the single easiest fertile ground in the existence of the game. But 'tis not to be. Because there we go.
The last of the Ura. Their queen comes to die in the hall of Coronation. It's almost a waste of the irony for it to fall on such a humorless people.
So yes, we have to try and beat up the concubine, but she's gonna pull her wonderful disappearing axe. Great.
And you, my brave little man, with me as queen, what of you?
Now, what I just did there was really stupid. Don't do that. Basically, you just got to kind of slash at the concubine a few times, and eventually that will lead to her opening the door.
My parents will be so proud. Hey, princess. I can end your suffering as I...
Yes, she's really talkative in this one. And she's also going to be really talkative when we go to her secret hideout. Because that's just who she is. And I don't think I've said it yet. I don't know, I mean, obviously there's... You easily run out of things to talk about with this game, but I'm pretty sure that the concubine sold her soul to Ahriman in just a moment of weakness,
I suffered to get here.
and then she kind of went insane. So that's kind of why you could see her as being less evil than either the hunter or the alchemist, because it was just a moment of weakness that caused her to sell her soul, and then after that she just went balmy. And now we get another new mechanic.
Oh no, now you're down there.
They
You're
just
not...
like to keep throwing these at us. It's kind of sort of a new one for every area, almost. So in the Vale you had the corrupted air. Here you've now got these corrupted butterfly bird things. I've seen them described as birds, but I would say they look a lot more like butterflies / moths. And I would assume that kind of that also works slightly better because the rest of the things are kind of blobs and buggy type things rather than birds.
Here we go.
Now I have to say, I'm honestly not sure what these things do. Largely because I don't think I've ever been caught by them. It's a bit odd, really. But
Leave this place while you still can.
it's time for us to beat up the concubine. And I don't know whether that bit of dialogue that she said just there, the leave while you still can, it sounded different to how the concubine normally speaks, so I don't know whether that was a bit of the concubine's true personality seeping through or not, or whether she's just telling us to bugger off, which is equally likely, to be honest. I will, however, say that I'm quite grateful that this is probably one of the easier concubine fights in the game, because the area is so big that you can kind of get reasonably long combos on her if she plays ball. And also, you can bash her into the walls and thereby get extra damage on her, because, or at least I think, no. Oh, I don't know. Now, this is something that she hasn't actually used before on us, I don't think. But the concubine has the ability to reverse your controls, essentially. So whenever she does that pink glowy thing, she is reversing your controls. So forward moves you backwards, and so on and so forth, although all the weapons stay on the same buttons. It probably would have been quite interesting if they'd changed it so that all the buttons did different things. Then I guess that would have made it nigh on impossible to figure out what the heck you're doing during the fight.
You will be stopped.
And that was a really long combo, and I feel very, very, very happy with that.
Bring her closer. Please keep going.
But yeah, this is surprisingly short, fertile ground, considering how long everything else was. And there's also very, very little backtracking to do. I mean, obviously we're gonna have to go down and then back up, but it's just very short, especially in comparison to the towers, which just felt excessively long. To me, at least, anyway. And she's done.
So deep you don't even know your own mind.
I'm sorry.
She's very convincing. Anyone would have fallen for her act.
And let's finish healing the royal palaces. Or the royal palace, I should say, is probably a bit more accurate, because there's only one. And we're going to get kind of throughout this area, I mean, you've already kind of seen it, but a really nice look at the area where we're going to have our final fight with the concubine. It's just a really, really gorgeous outside.
We will have to face them again. The concubine too.
I mean, I can't
The third gate is open.
quite remember
We can
what
purge
it
this land of another
is
corrupted.
called,
Go to the gate then.
or what it's based on,
You keep moving.
but it heavily reminds me of the final world level type area in Sonic and the Secret Rings. I mean, I never really want to be reminded of that game other than its level themes, but it's got that feeling to it. It's slight Arabian architecture. Well, this is probably meant to be much more Persian based than Arabian.
No one else is going to turn
The other thing with this area that surprises me is that the light seeds are all in pretty obvious locations. Like, kind of going down here, all of the light seeds on the way down are in the top path, and if you just follow the top path you are going to be absolutely fine. And then on the way up, they are all in your path. And even when you get kind of outside, and you're going through all those things, it's still exactly the same. there's just maybe 2 in total that are slightly odd in where they are, but even then, they're not that bad, and even though I'm going to miss them on my immediate run-through, it's more because I kind of forget that they're there.
Without that layer of corruption,
And it's nothing to do with the fact that they're hard to find, it's just that I forgot that I hadn't gone down when I should have done.
The palace rooms are 3 large halls across 3 floors. The concubine has probably taken the top floor as her own.
any way we can tell what's real and what's not?
Just use your instincts.
Also, hit it. That kind of tends to work. You did say that works.
Gotta be right sometime.
Yeah, I have to say, kind of, I really like what is about to happen when we go to the palace rooms to take on the concubine,
All this was legend.
because it's very clever. It's a very clever little trick that they pull on you, and it's not something that I was expecting, certainly. Now, you may be wondering, why aren't you going down the other path? Well, unbeknownst to me when I was doing it, the path to the left there is actually going to take us all the way around to the other side of the Hall of Coronation, I believe it was called. So technically, you can kind of cover the 2 side corridors by going out backwards, round the outside, down and back, and do it all in one reasonably neat chunk. I say reasonably neat, it's not the tidiest of manoeuvrings I've ever shown off, but yes, also, those are the 2 light seeds that I am going to miss, and had to spend a little while looking for because I completely forgot their existence. Even though I knew they were there, I just hadn't remembered to go pick them up, which is always great. Also, we're really getting high up there in terms of the light seed total. Already at 700 odd, which makes me rather happy. So, yep, that corridor all the way to the left there, well, this is part of the corridor out of here, which is really cool that it's there. And I just like the way that this area kind of is pulled together, because you don't really expect it after what has been generally quite compartmentalized areas. But thankfully we are very nearly done with this area. I told you it was blooming short in comparison to the others. I'm not quite sure what it is. I think that it may just be that because they made the other 3 quite long, they decided that they needed to have at least one short one in here. So they kind of did it to balance things out. Which to me makes perfect sense, but it does confuse me slightly. They kind of do a similar thing when we get to the City of Light, because that has 2 rather long areas and then one surprisingly short one, and I can't remember the length of the other. But I believe that one might be reasonably long as well. Anyway, now let's get back to where the Black Gate is, quickly go and get those light seeds that I forgot about, and then we can, you know, go take on the concubine and show her what we're worth. Because, I mean, my word, she's been talking our ears off for the past ridiculous amount of minutes. Maybe been about an hour and a half. I mean, pretty much, you can take down all of a corrupted's areas, and them in about an hour and a half-ish. You know, maybe slightly off in my calculations, but if you kind of take the part totals that I've been doing, it works. But we've actually got all of the light seeds in the Royal Palace. So, as we quickly run back, it's time for us to perform Death of a Concubine.